prepare yourself for Israel. And a wonderful thing, in fact, said, you'd be happy there. She came and hushed her up. And that's changed her life.
Yeah.
With youngsters. But I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, there was some Mammy, although she had not a nice life to say, but she never looked in the past. It didn't affect her. She was looking to the future the whole time. You got people like that. You got people who lived in the past. I remember when I was a shochet, you had shochet who lived in the past, and they were upset, and they were more mar, and they complained about everything, and I didn't know why. I couldn't understand why, until eventually I started talking to one of the elderly shochet that, you know, sort of.
This is England.
In England.
Yeah.
And he got very angry with me because the way I was talking to him. And I couldn't understand why. So somebody said, what do you want to think? He had a family of 5 children and a wife. And they were all taken away. He was the one who got there. And what can you expect of a person who's lost everything? And that's how it was. But as youngsters, we weren't concerned. It was unfortunate that. And I said to her, you know, when I spoke to her, I said I was very, you know, upset about this. I did never bother to console her, you know, and everything. I couldn't understand.
Anyway, so we're back to Grandad. So he was in the army. Do you know how long he was there for?
Well, he must have been married, gone into the army about 2 years before it ended, I suppose, you know, according to the age. Because it ended in 1914. 1918 it ended, so he was, he was born, about 3 years before.
So he was, and you never found any real evidence of him in the museum, did you, of the brigade?
No, well they tried.
Michael was there, he thought he had somebody there.
But I saw Taylor, you know, I told you it was the best person like Taylor. But there was somebody I remember mentioned who lived in the same street as they did, and
so then Grandad, so they got married in England, and then they had 3 children.
Yeah, they got married about 1928, I should think.
Oh, so he was quite old then.
Yes, my mum was 28 years old.
Oh, and Grandad was older, in his 30s.
Yes, possibly,
yeah.
Just wait a minute. No,
28?
No, it's not possible. No, sorry. No.
How old's Harold?
Mum was 28 years old and she was born, I suppose, in 1925 or something like that. They were married, and Harold, I think, must have been born in 1928. No, because he was 4 years older than me, and I was born in 30, so that was 1926. So it's possible that in 1925 they were married, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's Harold.
They had 3 children.
Yeah.
Harold was the eldest, and then Manny.
So this is with Grandad. How old are you here, this picture?
I have no idea. How old was I? About 5 years old, 6 years old?
Yes. You know where this is?
Yes, Roundhay Park. I think you went there.
Yeah, I've been a few times there, yeah.
Yes,
sure.
of course.
Yeah.
That was called the Pavilion there, where they used to have that was where the cricketers used to go to change.
Yeah.
Behind.
What do you remember about your childhood?
Well,
earliest memory of childhood?
It's difficult to say. When we went to Leopold Street, which was north, Roscoe, from Roscoe Mountain, then when after my Auntie Lily's from my youth, well, I mean, we were in Roscoe Mount, and I remember how things were at that time. We used to heat up water from the fire, and we had no...
You had running water?
No, we had running water, only cold water, and we used to heat up next to the fire was what you call sort of a boiler sort of thing, and we used to heat up water, and the baths used to bring down a big tub. And
once a week?
Yeah, something like that. And they used to pour water in from the hot water into the tub, and all 3 of us used to be in the bath. In the
toilets, well, the toilet outside.
Most probably, yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
You had electricity then?
Yes, I think we had electricity. Anyway, after that period, I remember going, there was a person in the same street opposite who used to, in those days they used to have cigarettes. Most people used to smoke, and they had cards, cigarette cards inside,
Yeah.
and they used about 50 of them, and used to save them, and used to have a set.
The paintings, I remember.
I've got the paintings.
They were from you, the paintings?
Yes, I got the paintings. And for various footballers, cricketers, you know, all different.
They had football then? They had a football
Oh,
league?
yeah, footballers. Well, I used to say to him about Jesse, what's his name? Matthews, he was a famous one. So about 50 years later, I said, well, Matthews was a good. I said, Matthews, his dad accepted that he's not alive now. Anyway, so...
Well, he was the star in your days.
He was the star in my days, Matthews and Bradman in cricket, you know. Anyway, so what was I saying to you? So we used to go to this fellow's house, and he used to open his drawer, and we used to see beautiful cards there, he used to give us them. And it was...
who were your neighbours? The Goyish area, or they all Jews?
Goy, most of Goy that I knew.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then when my auntie Lily got married, we went over to Leopold Street, which is a very big house, which was used for rich people from when it was really built, because they in the bottom story where we used to live, there were bells on the wall, so people used to live upstairs, and that's where the waiters used to be, and there were 4 stories.
The house was 4 stories?
There was the bottom story where the kitchen was and so on. Then upstairs where there was the toilet and about 2 rooms. And then upstairs were another 2 rooms and a bathroom, which was something special those days. And so in the bathroom there was only gaslight, I remember. The person who was there did not put electricity in the bathroom. And then right on the top, was the attic, where eventually my grandfather made his workshop.
There were a lot of stairs then?
Yes, a lot of stairs.
A lot of stairs. You had a garden there?
Yes, we had a nice
You used to
big
play in
garden.
the garden, you had a play, you used to play in the garden?
There was the garden, there was a big garden on one side and sort of a yard in the other side.
And how near was it to school, to shul?
Well, to school, it was quite a walk, but we took it for granted.
You didn't have a lift every day?
No, well,
With your grandfather?
Nobody had cars those days, very few people had cars. I mean, we used to walk to Cheder. Cheder was a long way away. We always used to walk
And shul
to Cheder.
also?
Shul,
Which shul you used to have then?
Well, the big shul where we used to go, the Shem Chevri Shas and Yosh and Yom Kippur was where near the Cheder was. That was where the Jewish community was when it first started. And then they started moving up.
Towards where you live?
Chapeltown Road.
Is that near Leopold Street?
Yeah, all the shops were Jewish, all the shops on the main road, the chemist was Jewish, everything was Jewish. You knew you were in a Jewish neighbourhood.
Well, there are a lot of Jews there, in Leeds.
Yeah, in Leeds, a lot of Jews. And then, that was in Chapeltown Road. And they slowly moved up, so there was the bit where in 1933, they built the big shul where Achas and Stern was, and that was an edifice. I think it was a dome, beautiful shul. And then we used to go to there every Shabbos. That was not far away from us. There was another shul, a Polish shul, opposite, where Rabbi we used to daven. Then on the other side was Francis Street shul, and there was no shortage of shuls. But there was no shtiblach sort of there. There was no such thing as...
Well, there were minyanim, if you remember, during the week and everything.
Of course, I used to go, when I became religious, I used to go in the morning to shul, to Francis Street shul.
I'm talking about your childhood now. You joined the choir.
And the choir, I went into the choir because we used to constantly go to the big shul. We used to daven there on Friday nights because we were able to go to get off from school. The Jewish boys, they were very, in that respect, they're very considerate. The education department, Because in the Carper Street School, where I learned, there were many Jews. I wouldn't say the majority, but I feel there were 50-40% Jews. I remember, and after they used to say prayers, and there used to be Jewish half an hour for Jewish children, where the non-Jews used to go for half an hour religious classes, and the Jewish people used to go to, the Jewish boys used to go to
to Dublin.
Not to Dublin, they used to have a lesson in the Ten Commandments or talking
for the teachers in the school, from the Jewish teachers?
the Jewish teachers in the school.
Oh, the Jewish teachers,
Yes. And when it came to scholarship, there was a period of scholarship when it was about 13 years old, I think, something like that. When I was 13 years old, I used to go to scholarships. And there was a non-Jewish headmaster, of course, and he read out the names. Cohen, Levi, you could see on the anger on the non-Jewish.
Well, that was from the marks, because of the marks.
Yeah, because they all went into high school.
No, I'm saying they got the scholarships because of the marks, the high marks.
We had to go to, in for a scholarship in a certain place. And I remember going home to my mother and saying, Mum, he said, it was, I wouldn't say that it was pathetic, he said, about 75% of Jews, I think I told you the previous time, I've got the history of the Jewish people in Leeds. A fellow called Friedman wrote the history, and he said that statistics-wise, there was a wrote statistics, 90% of the Jews went to school. Nobody played truant. They've never had anything like it. But then when they first came, it was sort of in a DNA, in the Jewish part of the culture of the Jews, and go to Cheder.
What was with Grandma and Granddad's attitude to chinuch and because they weren't frum as frum, say.
No. We demanded Cheder.
Yeah.
We had to come home early from Shabbos because there were Jews whose parents were concerned about missing. On 3:30, you come home. I went to the teacher. I said I must go home early. He said, "Don't worry." He said, "At 3:30, I'll call all Jewish children who want to go home early before the Sabbath are allowed." And it wasn't very long because at 4 o'clock was all Shabbos. And I remember rushing home and changing my clothes and going to shul.
They were very mucked about it.
They were very.
What else? Whatever else? Tzitzis also they used to have.
Tzitzis were very makpid, going to shul Shabbos morning, to the extent even when they were older, you may laugh at it, but they used to go to, eventually when they were working in the optics, Harold and Manny, they used to go on bicycles to work to the town where they had it. You're not going on a bicycle on Shabbos, you'll go like a bench on the bus, on the tram car. And when we were evacuated during the war, they demanded that on Shabbos we change our clothes, we put tzitzis on, It's a remarkable thing that.
So we're in the choir, What have you got? What memories have you got in the choir?
I've got a lot of memories with.
Right, Harold and Manny also in the choir.
We were all in the choir, and we used to. Manny didn't have.
All the kids used to go in, or they used to check them before they used to come in?
No, there was a leader there, Mr. Leader.
He used to test the boys before they were.
Of course, yes, we used to. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, could you sing this note?
How many were in the choir?
Tone deaf. I should think we're about 20.
Yeah.
But on Yom Tovim, must about 40, 50, because the elderly, because we're all youngsters during the Shabbos.
Yeah.
Maybe one of Mistarev or something. But when the Yom Tovim came, all the men used to come. And there used to be an atmosphere for rehearsals.
Yeah.
So I used to say there's a rehearsal on such and such a night, And so, and don't forget, Hassan Stern is coming. You've got to be.
Why he was attacking?
He was a Pachad when he came. Anyway, so.
Where did he come from?
Hassan Stern was born in I think Romania, and when the Rosenblatt left Bratislava or something like that, he took over as a young man. Then afterwards he went to Moscow conservatory, and then he came to England, and I met somebody in Schritter that knew him when he came to England. Because he got a letter from there was they all thought that going to an English speaking, that was they didn't really know
salvation.
Some Rabbanim, as you know, came to things they thought they were going into a big stadt, and they went to a small place. So they invited him, this chap was telling me, they invited him to a Shalashudas of Gevirim sort of thing, and he sang the Pastachel there.
What's the Pastachel?
He sings it very beautifully. Then he got a job in Manchester. And then when they opened up the big show, there were he was telling me, and they had the Chazonim Afroba. That means the, each one had to test them.
That was a good job. It's considered a good job then.
Of course, that was a United Synagogue, the new show.
Oh, the United Synagogue.
The new show.
Well, they had the Gaboim with the top hats there.
Of course, they were very Gevirim. There was Strauss, who was one of the Gaboim. He made his millions on Schmatters, and there was Friedman, who made his millions in raincoats.
It wasn't a Hamish shul then. Was it English shul or the Hamish shul?
It was a typical, like
United Road.
Like you, Langerton Road. Sorry.
No, I'm talking about they used to speak in English there.
Yeah.
Or Yiddish speaking.
No. It was in English. They had ministers there, reverends. They didn't have Rabbanim. I don't know if you've heard of Berkovitz, Rabbi Berkovitz. He was what's his name in Shiloh. Yeah. His father was there during the war. He was a scholar because he learnt in the Heidelberg Seminary of
Hildesheim.
What's his name? Hildesheim Seminary. The Hoffmans, and then what's his name was up there, the Sridiesh. Cambridge and Weinberg, and so there were Talmidim of his. Yeah. And he went there, and you saw who he had to deal with. And anyway, that's a different matter. It's a long story. So they had Rabbi Apfel, who couldn't get a job as a rabbi there, so he became a chazan with a beautiful voice.
He was a Talmud Chacham.
Of course he was, yeah.
He was a Dayan afterwards.
Yes, he was a Talmud of the Sridiesh. Yeah. Anyway, so so we were talking about my
chazan.
So they used to test us. We used to go, and I had a nice voice, and Harold had a nice voice.
How old were you then? 6, 7?
No. Well, just before the war, 9-ish, 8 or 9. And Manny used to go, but Manny didn't have a nice voice, But he was accepted anyway. So we used to get about 9pence or a shilling after 6 months or something. And he said, Harold Taylor, a shilling. David Taylor, a shilling. Manny Taylor, 6 months. Anyway, we used to give it over to Mal, whatever we used to get. We were very happy. And but before the Yom Tovim, we never used to daven the Yom Noraim. I was very upset. Harold did once. We used to daven in the Chevra Shas with my dad and my father. Yeah. And we used to.
You never used to come to the big shul. Grandad never used to come to the big shul?
Yes, of course he used to. Oh, he wouldn't miss Ribbono Shel Olam.
No, when you're in the Roim, you never davened there. No, because he has to buy, he had to pay.
Because my grandfather was.
He was the guy
there, in the shul. So we were members there. Yeah. So we used to have the Kaplan, his name was. He used to come round every Sunday for money for the shul. We used to be members there.
He grandad like Chazanis.
Loved it. Well, he loved music, he loved opera. That's what that's where we got. He used to buy records.
Oh, you had a gramophone when you were a
We
child?
had one of those, what's the name, gramophones.
What, you had to...
wound up, yes.
You used to then used to go on its own, or you used to have to...
Have to wind it up. And then towards the end, it used to go off, it used to wind it up again. And we used to have Caruso records and Chili records.
78s?
Oh, he loved music, he could stay all night, he could just listen to music. And Chazanishi records. Yeah.
So your grandma was proud of you in the choir, she...
Yes, she was. They were very proud of me. We used to come, and we used to laze about on Shabbos morning, and all of a sudden there was a knock on the window, and they said, the leader used to come, are you coming to the show?
I used to wake you, used to go and collect the kids.
Come on, he used to rush. Well, it was a bit of fantasy for him, you see. He knew music very well. He just read music just like that. But Parnassa was, we used to get there for Ein Kamocha because he used to start from Ein Kamocha.
We used to start saying the Kaddish before in Egerton Road.
The Chazan Rishon used to daven right until Ein Kamocha.
Yeah.
And then after the Kaddish Niskamal, he used to go Ein Kamocha, man, and that had to be a choir there.
Right, yeah.
And so from Shmai Sloel, he used to go from house to house telling the boys.
It was the same in Egerton Road.
Oh yeah.
Of course, there were only the kids there.
Yeah.
So he used to, our headmaster used to be on Spilkers, the first domain after the Kaddish.
Yeah.
There's nobody there, so, except the kids, you know, everybody used to roll in the middle of Anyway,
well, he had to, but on Yomim told him what an atmosphere there was, and all of a sudden, when we were rehearsing the atmosphere, and all of a sudden, Chazan used to come in and everybody was going, the men particularly, because the basses, he used to start shouting at the basses, because that used to have he said, he used to start, he spoke in Yiddish, you see, he didn't know much English. Open the mouth! I said, open your mouth! Oh, it was...
So these childhood memories never leave you.
No, I'll never forget that. When we used to sing, used to say, Hashivim, Hashem Elokecha. So the leader said he used to keep on a high C. He said, it's the high C! It was, you know, you learnt a lot though from you should know. Yeah, whatever, you know, you make jokes about it, you learn a lot about singing. And,
so that was how many years you were in the choir then?
Actually about 3 or 4 years until, you know...
What was the attendance of the shuls then? It used to be full?
Packed. Well, when it had, during Shabbos it was all right, but when it came to the Yom Tovim, I remember I used to go with my grandfather, used to sit next to my grandfather. It was, because when I went into the choir, grandfather died. It must have been about 9. And on Yom Tovim, it used to be packed, particularly for the Pesach night, for the Zibonu Shalom. He used to sing the, what's his name? Pinchix.
Pinchix already had his...
oh yeah, what? Talk about, it was very famous already. Pinchix.
In the 1930s already?
Yes, it was a Ruby record. Not like Hirschman's, was on Blue Label, Columbia. What's his name wasn't?